To make money, I work online as a love consultant. I got a client, my boss, who's as cold as a stone. The kicker? He's running after me. 1. As a love consultant, my success rate is 95%. One day, a rich guy messaged me on Instagram and offered a fortune to help him pursue someone. He sent me his phone number, and when I received it, lo and behold, it was my boss. Which poor soul did he fall for? I double-checked the number with my another phone. Yup, it's him, the ever-expressionless James Smith. As I was still in shock, James Smith messaged me on Instagram. Have you sent any message? I haven't received anything yet. I snapped back to reality. Oh, sorry, the signal was not good. Sending you now. There's no way I'm missing out on a deal that lets me both earn money and eavesdrop on my boss's love life. I quickly sent him a greeting message to his number, labeling him as Big Spender in the contact. Instantly, the chat lit up. Big Spender. Hello. Wow, he's eager. I squinted my eyes. Hello. Please tell me a bit about your relationship with the girl. I'm her boss, haven't talked much. Oh boy, it's someone from our company. And he's got a secret crush? My heart raced as I held back my curiosity. What's she like? Any hobbies or traits? Big Spender, she's got a great personality, smiles a lot, very cute when she smiles. Hates working but loves leaving work and eating. I snorted. Poor girl, her boss noticed she doesn't like working. What a bummer. Anything else? Big Spender, she's only been here 3 months. She loves dogs. She's got a dog keychain on her bag. My grin froze. Slowly, I turned my head to look at my own dog keychain hanging on my bag. Anne. I've only been here 3 months. Wait a second, could the unlucky girl James Smith is crushing on be me? 2. Big Spender, why aren't you responding? Is there a problem? Of course, there's a problem. A huge one. While James Smith may be handsome, tall, and filthy rich, but I've got a huge issue with workplace romances. Plus, this guy's always criticizing people who works for him. Dating him would be a nightmare. But I'd signed a contract when I accepted the job, committing to being on call 24/7 and guaranteeing success. If I break the contract, I'd owe him double the money. If I'd known I was the target, I would never have taken this job. Big Spender, why haven't you responded? He had very little patience. I snapped back to reality. Stay calm, stay calm. Maybe it's not me. A colleague who joined around the same time as me also liked my keychain and bought one. Maybe it's her? I cautiously probed, why do you like her? Big Spender, do you need a reason to like someone? Okay, that's a good answer, and I'd applaud it if it wasn't about me. I needed to push further, more directly. I typed through gritted teeth, you two are practically strangers. Start by increasing your contact naturally and find out what she likes. Then surprise her anonymously. Once you're closer, make your move. Big Spender, what kind of surprise? For example, send her a unique bouquet of flowers. I spent a sleepless night and rushed directly to the company at dawn. As I emphasized to James that the flowers had to be unique, I surely could figure out who was his target. But when I stepped into the office, I was dumbstruck. There were flowers on every desk. Every single one. Even the guys had flowers. Worse, each bouquet was different. Unique, he didn't take that to mean everyone gets something different, did he? 3. This was some serious player behavior. I looked at the red roses on my desk and trembled, glancing at another woman's daisies. Daisies symbolize innocence, purity, and secret love. Both seemed possible targets. In all my years working, I'd never encountered such a confusing client. If I could, I'd shake him by the shoulders to see if anything rattled around in that head. Then, in the break room, I bumped into James Smith. Dressed in a sharp suit, his tall figure exuded pressure just from his back. Why was he out here? Doesn't his coffee usually get brought to him by the secretaries? Increasing contact naturally flashed in my mind, reminding me I might be responsible for this. I didn't have the guts to shake his shoulders nor check his head, so I just tried to slip away. But the next second, his cold, handsome face turned toward me. Our eyes met, and I froze. I forced a smile. Haha, Mr. Smith, good morning. You're here for coffee too? Yeah. James Smith nodded. His face remained stiff as he made room for me to use the machine. I nervously stood beside him, unsure how to act now that I knew he might have feelings for me. Still, not a word was spoken. I began to wonder. If he liked me, wouldn't he say something? Suddenly, a pale, elegant hand reached over to turn off the machine. I looked up to see his cold face, pointing at my cup. It's full. I awkwardly thanked him, but now I was confused. Would someone be so cold to their crush? Maybe it wasn't me after all. Feeling relieved, I smiled and walked back to my desk, only to freeze when I saw the messages on my backup phone. James had sent several. Big spender, I just ran into her in the break room. She didn't seem to have slept well, her dark circles were heavy. Should I get something to perk her up? 4. I stifled a scream, forcing myself to stay calm. Maybe there was another girl who didn't sleep well? I texted back, did you send the flowers? Big spender, yes. What kind? Red roses. Any hope I had left vanished. It really was me. Before I could fully process this disaster, another barrage of messages came through. To avoid any rumors, I sent flowers to the whole office. Each person got something different. Honestly, I'm surprised you didn't consider this as a consultant. It makes me question your professionalism. I don't want my feelings for her to be a burden. I hope you consider this seriously in your future consulting. I was stunned. I didn't expect the big boss to say something so thoughtful. But then I got angry. Questioning my professionalism? Unacceptable. Do you think my 95% success rate is luck? If it wasn't for figuring out who is the unlucky girl, I wouldn't have suggested something as weak as anonymous flowers in the first place. But how could I show him my professionalism? I couldn't teach him how to pursue me, could I? While I worried about balancing my professionalism and future happiness, James Smith sent another message. Should I send her something to perk her up? Don't bother, I typed through gritted teeth. You two won't work out. 5. Big spender, you don't even know the situation. How can you be so sure? I knew exactly what was going on. My mind raced for an excuse. Suddenly, an idea hit me. I just did a reading. Your zodiac signs are incompatible. Big spender, you're a consultant, and now you're doing astrology? Of course. Love is a mysterious thing. You and this girl have no fate. Give up now. No matter what you do, she's destined never to like you. Big spender scoffed, keep trying to trick me. I smiled, ready to go all in. Don't believe me? My insight tells me those roses you sent were thrown away. Want to check for yourself? After sending that message, I hurriedly threw my bouquet into the trash. Moments later, James Smith walked by, glancing at the garbage bin. I smirked, watching him speed walk away. He was shaken. He believed me. 6. I spent 2 hours pretending to work, waiting for the right moment to send another message. How about now? Have you confirmed? Big Spender replied instantly, you're bluffing. I don't believe it. How could she not like me? Looks like the workaholic wasn't focusing on his work. He was starting to crack. I chuckled as I typed, give it up, man. No matter how hard you try, it's pointless. I paused before adding, the girl isn't as great as you think. Let's find someone else to run after. I'll give you a free service. Big Spender replied, what's with your terrible advice? She's amazing, okay? I blushed, then sighed. What on earth does he see in me? Dude, you've only known her 3 months. How are you already so into her? Big Spender chuckled, didn't you say you were insightful? Guess you didn't predict that I've known her for more than 3 months. Wait, what? More than 3 months? When did that happen? I couldn't ask him directly, but then I had a brilliant idea. If I can't ask on this account, I'll ask in person. I volunteered to deliver some documents to his office and knocked on the door. 7. Come in. Mr. Smith, here are the files you requested. He barely glanced at me, focused on the papers. He muttered, not even looking up. I pouted, thinking of how different he was in his messages. This guy's got 2 faces, huh? With that attitude, who's he going to woo? Staying single for life would suit him better. After a minute of silence, I cleared my throat. Mr. Smith, you look so familiar. If you don't mind me asking, have we met each other before? This question seemed to catch his attention. His gaze lingered for a moment, then he coolly responded, no. He was clearly lying, but I couldn't press him for details without looking suspicious. As I stood there, awkwardly waiting for him to say something more, James glanced at me again and asked, anything else? I swallowed my curiosity. No, that's all. I'll get back to work. I quickly left his office, my head buzzing with more questions. 8. If we've met before, why can't he just be honest about it? I really can't understand his way of thinking. Forget it, who cares if he met me? Anyway, James Smith didn't show anything special when he saw me in person, and I never run into him after work. Just give it a few months of cold treatment, and he'll naturally lose interest. Men, don't I know them by now? But surprisingly, he stopped bothering me in the consulting sessions. After a few days of being on edge, not only did I run into James after work, but also my dog leash ended up around him. Half an hour ago, I was walking my dog. Suddenly, out of nowhere, my dog went crazy and broke free from the leash, bolting ahead. I was so exhausted chasing him that I flung the leash in a desperate attempt to lasso him like a cowboy. But instead of catching my dog, the leash landed on someone else's head. And that someone was James Smith. He seemed to be out for a night run. He'd swapped his suit for workout gear, which made his broad shoulders, narrow waist, and long legs even more obvious. Now, my dumb dog was circling him, which oddly lessened the intimidating aura he usually has with his cold face. But I didn't have time to admire the view. Forcing a smile, I said, I am so sorry, Mr. Smith, let me get that off you. James patted my dog's head, still bouncing around him. It's fine, he said. Then he glanced at me, his expression unusually focused. "Pretty cute," he remarked. Was he talking about the dog or me? All I could do was laugh awkwardly. From the moment I ran into James, I felt uneasy. We exchanged a few greetings, and I quickly made an excuse to leave. I thought he would respond as he did during the day, at most, with a simple grunt. But suddenly, he lifted his eyes, and with a calm voice said, "I'll walk you home." I was shocked. 9. Why is this guy not following the usual playbook? I quickly declined, "That's really not necessary, it's too much trouble." James's expression remained calm. "Where do you live?" "Me, Maple Gardens." "It's no trouble, it's on the way." "On the way?" "Yeah, right, as if I don't know the game." He even looped the leash back around my dog, quick and efficient. "I'll hold on to him, just in case he runs off again." In the end, under my dog's tearful approval, James and I walked side by side on the way home. It was only at this moment I realized James was actually a full head taller than me. He held the dog in one hand, typing away on his phone with the other. For some reason, his mouth twitched a little. Probably dealing with some company business. Just as I was thinking that, James suddenly turned his face towards me, catching me off guard. I hurriedly averted my eyes. His deep voice rang out, "What's your dog's name?" I froze, fidgeting for a moment. "His name is, Big Beast." Big Beast excitedly barked in response. I instantly regretted naming such a tiny white dog Big Beast. It was kind of embarrassing. The elders say giving them a rough name helps them thrive." Ha ha. After a moment, James laughed. "It's nice, sounds healthy and strong." In that instant, it was like the ice melted, and spring bloomed everywhere. For the first time, I saw what a genuine smile looked like on his face. Also, the first time I realized a man's smile could be that stunning. Oh my God, I felt a little attracted for a second. Seeing me stare at him, James instantly went back to his poker face. "What's wrong?" I didn't know how to respond when suddenly, I felt a drop on my head. A downpour started, and we ran all the way back to my place. After handing me back the dog leash, I said, "Boss, thank you so much for walking us home, you should head back soon." But then James bent down and gently petted the soaking wet tiny dog, his expression soft. Honestly, he seemed to like the dog more than me. "The rain's pretty heavy. Mind if I wait it out at your place?" I opened my mouth, glanced at the downpour outside. Yeah, it really didn't seem like I could turn him away. When I opened the door, I was mortified. The whole place was a mess, leftover instant noodles from my lazy dinner still sitting on the table. Seeing James's gaze land on that bowl, I forced a laugh. "Haha, sorry, the place is a bit messy, I'll grab you a towel." I rushed to my room, noticed my backup phone flashing. When I picked it up, I froze. It was all messages from James. "Didn't you say we weren't meant to be? Then how come we keep running into each other, even on a walk? We're walking the dog home together now. She's adorable, and her dog's cute too." There were a bunch of over-the-top compliments, mostly about me. The last message was from just now. "Ah, I'm at her place. What do I do? Holy!" At this point, when you've followed someone home, I usually tell my clients to seize the opportunity. Go all in, no turning back, just go for it. But now, this is my house we're talking about. 10. And things were starting to get a bit tricky. James's barrage of over-the-top compliments had me feeling like I was floating. I never expected someone so aloof to have this kind of side to him. Kinda cute. Snapping back to reality, I shook my head vigorously. Summer, what are you even thinking? Get back out there, wait for the rain to die down a little, and send James on his way. Just as I was about to head out, another message from James popped up. The words double compensation stabbed into my eyes. Me, bro, what's going on? We can talk this out. James, cold and unfeeling, since last Thursday, you've been half-assing my consultations, and now you're completely unresponsive, a serious breach of contract. I shivered, even through the screen, I could feel the pressure. This was James Smith in full-on work mode. The most important thing is, your constant attempts to discourage me have seriously affected my mood. Oh, so that's what this is really about? I quickly forced a smile. Bro, I didn't mean to ignore you. I just forgot my phone at home. No difference, you haven't been giving me any useful advice anyway. What's the point of having you? I was speechless. Seeing that hefty compensation fee looming in my near future, I decided to employ some dirty tactics. Big bro. I'll give you a great tip right now. Super helpful, I swear. Oh. I could practically see James's eyebrow lifting in the faintest of arches. Let's hear it. If it's useless, my lawyer will be the next person you talk to. Taking a deep breath, I gritted my teeth. If that's how it's going to be, then don't blame me for playing rough. Take off your clothes. She'll like that. 11. Big spender, are you okay? Won't I come off as a creep doing that? I took a deep breath. No, just the shirt. Trust me, I have a sixth sense for this. She loves that kind of thing, she'll be all over you once she sees your body. Big spender, I doubt it. I don't think she's that kind of person. I smirked. I've given you the advice, if you don't follow through, that's on you, not me. That was exactly my plan. Based on James's earlier behavior, he seemed like a decent guy, so there was no way he'd actually take this advice. If he didn't do it, I wouldn't be to blame, and I wouldn't end up in jail. Genius, right? Feeling smug, I changed clothes, grabbed a towel, and headed back to the living room. Then I froze. James had taken off his shirt. He really did it. I swallowed hard. His body was a perfect V-shape, with 8 well-defined abs. Every line was exactly where it should be. Definitely enough to make anyone fall for him. But what shocked me even more? James's black workout shirt was now dangling from Big Beast's mouth, who was prancing around like a lion dancer, playing with it. I looked at James, then at the dog. James looked at the dog, then at me. After a long silence, he pointed to the energetic dog and said, "My shirt was pulled off by him." Big Beast immediately stopped and looked at James with an obvious expression of disbelief. So, we're blaming the dog now, huh? Really? James enunciated each word, his ears gradually turning a bit red. He's the one who did it. Woof woof woof. Big Beast, with a hurt look, dropped the shirt and barked at me pitifully. I instantly decided to betray Big Beast, kicking him lightly on the butt before scooping up the shirt. Haha, so that's what happened. It's my fault for not training the dog properly. I'm really sorry, Mr. Smith. You should use this towel to cover up for now. I'll wash the shirt for you. James seemed relieved and nodded, taking the towel. Whether intentional or not, he subtly flexed his abs again, making them even more prominent. Based on what I'd said earlier, should I casually touch him to prove my point? Before I knew it, I really did sneak a little feel. Wow, nice. Who knew touching abs could feel this good? As James's body suddenly tensed, I pretended not to notice and dashed to the bathroom. My spare phone vibrated again. Big spender, OMG, she touched me. 12. The phone kept buzzing, with James frantically expressing his shock. Seeing that the crisis was resolved, I hummed to myself, so, how about that? Impressed by my skills now? Big spender calmed down instantly, that was just a lucky shot. Don't get cocky. I've had something on my mind for a while. If you can help me with this too, I'll admit you're good at your job. My heart tightened. Something he's been thinking about for a while? Does he think I'm some sort of miracle worker? What if he asks for something over the top? I'm a professional, I sell advice, not myself. Big spender, I don't want her to call me Mr. Smith anymore. How can I get her to use my name, at least in private? I blinked. That's it? That's all he wants? Okay, sorry, my thoughts were too dirty for this. James seemed extremely nervous, hurry up. She's about to come back. Me, this is easy. Just ask her directly. Big spender, ask her? Won't that scare her off? It won't. If it does, I'll refund you double. All right, but you said that, not me. Returning to the living room with his quickly washed and dried shirt, James suddenly turned his head, looking unusually tense. I acted like I didn't notice. Mr. Smith, here's your shirt. Thanks. James took it, but his movements were noticeably stiff. An awkward silence followed. In my head, I was cheering him on. Come on, say it! James Smith took a deep breath and in a low, steady voice, said, from now on, in private, don't call me Mr. Smith. Just call me James. I responded instantly, okay, James. He froze for a second, his ears quickly turning red. I was caught off guard by the sudden cuteness, my heart racing to 100. Oh my God! Why is he so adorable? 13. James sat for a bit longer, and I could see he was itching to text again. I was getting anxious. The guy had already followed through when I told him to take his shirt off, and then casually brought up the whole call me by my name thing. If James threw out another inappropriate suggestion, what would I do? Go along with it, or not? I glanced outside and noticed the rain had let up a little. I tossed him an umbrella. James, the rain's slowing down. You should head home. He looked outside, nodded, and then left. I breathed a sigh of relief. A little while later, my phone pinged with a message from Big Spender. You've actually got some skill. So, do you believe me now? Maybe. I didn't waste time. Well, since you believe me, let me give you some advice again. It's not like I'm trying to mess with you on purpose, but honestly, you and this girl, you're just not meant to be. You should just give up. Exactly. It's better for both of you. He replied, better for you, you mean? I'm not giving up. Instead of wasting time trying to make me quit, why don't you help me figure out how to change my fate? I groaned, throwing myself onto the couch in frustration. He trusts my magic skill now but still won't let go? What did I even do to make him so into this me? Did I save his life in a past life? Now I was totally stuck between a rock and a hard place. If I pretended to be useless, he'd send me a lawsuit. But if I acted like I could help, he'd think there was real hope and get all fired up. Maybe I should just cave in and help him for real? I mean, James is kind of cute when he's not in his work mode. But then I caught myself. No way, Summer. Did you forget your last lesson? You got into a perfectly normal relationship with a guy in work, but once your coworkers found out, that scumbag turned around and framed you for seducing the boss. Everyone in the office gossiped and gave you dirty looks, to the point where your life became a nightmare. You almost ended up depressed because of the whole ordeal. In the end, you were forced to resign and struggled to find another job. I wouldn't have survived if it wasn't for Big Beast. Back then, that ex seemed like the perfect man too. Thinking about that made me toughen up again. Nope, I'm sticking to my plan. I need to make James take the fall so I can get out of this mess unscathed. Guess I'll have to go even more extreme. All right, James, you asked for it. I refuse to believe this guy can actually pull down the stars from the sky for me. 14. After a few more interactions, I was dumbfounded. James's limits were practically non-existent. No matter how ridiculous my demands, he went along with them all. The company food got better, lunch breaks were extended by half an hour, and the overtime hours vanished completely. He even approved a personal vacation request just for me, and this man never cracks a smile. I was floored. Not only did I fail to slow him down, but he also figured out most of my preferences. This can't go on any longer. I must not have been demanding enough. Big Spender, that movie she mentioned wanting to see is coming out soon. How can I ask her to go with me? Oh no. Things are moving too fast. Now he wants to ask me out. Taking a deep breath, I decided to raise the bar even higher. That's going to be tricky. First, you have to ask her in person at her apartment complex where she feels relaxed and comfortable. Second, it has to be in the middle of a flower field. Big Spender, her place, a flower field? I looked out at the bare branches outside. Yep, the entire apartment complex. The trees and ground need to be filled with flowers, and they have to bloom naturally as one complete flower tree. Without that perfect romantic atmosphere, she'll turn you down for sure. Big Spender, but it's November. There are no blooming trees anywhere. Exactly the point. I gleefully responded, bro, your astrological signs are clashing. To succeed, you'll need to defy the heavens. James Smith, at first, we just weren't compatible. Now, we're clashing signs? Are you messing with me? Of course not. Have I ever lied to you? I typed with enthusiasm. If all else fails, we can always wait until next spring. James Smith didn't reply. Clearly, I had stumped him this time. Feeling smug, I went to bed. There's no way that goofball can pull this one off, I thought to myself. But a few days later, I realized I was dead wrong. 15. The moment I stepped back into my apartment complex, I was completely floored by the sight of a sea of pink. The place was buzzing with people, and there were even reporters on site, broadcasting this out-of-season miracle. I ran over to the biggest tree to take a closer look. Damn it, it was indeed naturally grown and transplanted here. And not just one tree, all the trees in the complex had been replaced. Is James insane? How much manpower, resources, and money must this have cost? Was it really worth it? Does he really like me that much? My heart suddenly felt tight and warm. It'd be a lie to say I wasn't touched. As I scanned the crowd, my eyes landed on James. He stood there, frowning slightly, as if he was searching for someone. Suddenly, our eyes met, and James's face relaxed instantly. He waved at me. The tall, quiet man walked toward me through the shower of petals, the whole scene looking like something straight out of a romantic drama. It would have been perfect if he hadn't been walking in sync, left arm with left leg. He was clearly way too nervous, and it made me almost want to cheer him on. James went through the formalities of asking me out. The moment I accepted, James probably didn't even realize just how brightly his eyes lit up. It left me with mixed feelings. But before I could process them, my second phone buzzed. Big spender, she said yes. We're going to watch a movie together. I typed back bitterly, congrats, congrats. Like I had a choice? His lawyer would call me. The next moment, it felt like I was struck by lightning. This Saturday, clear your schedule so you can help me in real time. I don't want to mess up. What? You want me to double task under your nose? You might as well kill me now. 16. Big spender, what's wrong? Didn't you say our astrological signs clash, so we need to be extra careful? I'm just asking you to supervise everything. Got a problem with that? I have plans that day. Big spender, oh, plans? All right then. I was just about to breathe a sigh of relief when James added, in that case, I'll have my lawyer get in touch with you. He's never lost a case. I gritted my teeth, no. I'll do it. Heaven, help me. If James ever finds out I'm the master behind all this, I'm done for. This whole situation was making me lose sleep, but James? He was having the best time of his life. What should I wear? Can you estimate what style she'd like, down to the color and cut? Does the color or model of my car matter? Should I change my hairstyle? I'm asking her as a friend, so maybe I shouldn't give her flowers right away, but I really want to. Should I get the florist to play along? I was about to lose it, dude. Can you chill for a second? Are you seriously going to ask me about every little step on the date? Want me to tell you which foot you should step out with for good luck? Big spender, not a bad idea. Go ahead and tell me now. The night before the movie, I couldn't sleep. The next morning, I stared at my dark eye circles and sighed deeply. Dear God, when will this ridiculous drama end? When I saw James Smith, I breathed a quiet sigh of relief. He'd been so nervous before that I was worried he might overdo it, but even in a simple trench coat, he looked great. The entire time, I was on high alert, half expecting James to suddenly spring something crazy on me. But all the way to the theater, there was nothing. My second phone stayed silent. Wait, so he's going to handle this on his own? I relaxed a bit, but just as I did, James picked up his phone. My internal alarms went off, and sure enough, a second later, my phone buzzed. Big spender, we haven't spoken for 3 minutes. Do you think she'll find me boring? Quick, give me a topic. I glanced at James's expressionless face and couldn't help but laugh out loud. The contrast was too cute. James suddenly looked up and glanced at my phone. 17. What's wrong? And nothing. Phew, that was close. I almost gave myself away. I quickly tucked my phone into my bag. James nodded and didn't ask any more questions. But then another message popped up. She seems to be chatting with someone and looks really happy. Am I too boring? Oh no, it felt like I was seeing a sad puppy. My heart squeezed a little at how cute it was, and then I had an idea. If I just keep talking to James, he won't have time to send messages. That way, the chances of me getting exposed drop significantly. So, up until the movie started, I didn't stop talking for a second. Finally, the movie began, and I could relax. No way James would ask for advice while watching a movie, right? I closed my eyes, planning to fake sleep for a bit. But with all the tension suddenly leaving my body, I actually fell asleep. And then I had a dream. In the dream, he looked at me with ice-cold eyes. There's no one in this world who could toy with me like this. Take her away and drown her. No! I jolted awake and sighed in relief as I saw the movie screen. Thank goodness, it was just a dream. But when I turned my head, my heart stopped. James was holding my phone. My backup phone. On the screen, his messages were blinking, and the contact's name Big Spender was flashing brightly. James locked eyes with me for 2 long seconds before speaking quietly. Your phone kept buzzing, so I thought I'd help turn it off. And then... Oh, thanks. I was totally frozen, forcing a nervous smile. God, someone please tell me what to do. I didn't do anything. The situation was just too awkward. After James handed my phone back, I ran off immediately. I couldn't shake the feeling that if I stayed any longer, James might really have me drowned. I checked the chat history. While I was sleeping, James had sent a ton of messages. She fell asleep. What should I do? Should I let her rest on my shoulder? Or is that too forward? Where are you? Each message got more and more frustrated until finally, he must have had enough and called me, except it rang on my phone. I was beyond mortified. I couldn't even imagine what James would think or how he'd react once he found out I was the one who'd been messing with him this whole time. He'd probably be super disappointed. Or worse, he'd want to kill me to keep me quiet. But even more unsettling was the sinking feeling that I'd let him down. Somewhere deep inside, there was this strange, indescribable pain. 18. It felt like I was about to relive all the painful memories from the past. I didn't want to go through that again. So, that night, I transferred back the consulting fee to James's account and submitted my resignation letter. This time, I'd take matters into my own hands. I was leaving before things got messy. After submitting my resignation, I opened James's chat to apologize. But just as I was trying to figure out the right words, the notification popped up. The other party is typing. James, come to my office tomorrow. My heart skipped a beat. Is he that angry? Is he going to drown me right there, or maybe humiliate me in front of the whole company? The next day, I showed up at his office door, trembling. Taking a deep breath, I knocked. Come in. As soon as I entered, I gave a deep 90-degree bow. I'm sorry. I really am. I didn't mean to do it, it's just that things got so awkward, and I didn't know how to handle it. I'll resign, and I'll accept whatever you decide, even if I have to pay damages. I'll pay it off slowly, just please don't sue me. After saying all of that in one breath, I was lightheaded from lack of oxygen. James's deep voice rang out, sit down. His usual serious expression gave nothing away, and I sat down like a scolded school kid. You don't need to resign. The company has a good future, and it aligns with your skills. Don't throw away your career over this. Huh? I was surprised. You're not angry? James's tone remained calm. I don't really have any reason to be angry. And even if I were upset, I wouldn't do anything to you. Honestly, I'm just a little surprised. Thinking about it, if our roles were reversed, I'd probably have done the same thing you did. James lowered his gaze slightly. I must have put a lot of pressure on you these past few days. You must have been really scared. I'm sorry. Tears were on the verge of spilling from my eyes. I quickly said, no, I'm the one who should apologize. Why is he so nice? I feel so guilty I could cry. Summer. I straightened up, yes. For some reason, it felt like this was the first time James had ever called me by my name. James met my eyes, his ears tinged with a bit of pink, his gaze sincere and serious. Honestly, finding out that you were behind this account, my biggest feeling was relief. At least there's no real clashing fate or some predestined incompatibility. James's eyes were bright, and his words warmed me from the inside. You probably understand how I feel by now, right? I just wonder, how do you feel about me? 19. I was really touched, truly moved. But I still deeply bowed to James and turned him down. James is really different from my ex-boyfriend, and I'm well aware of that. He genuinely respects people. It's not just some shallow act, and he really does like me a lot. I think I might have some feelings for James too, but the shadow left by my ex still filled me with fear and distrust of any office romance. After listening to my apologies, James didn't react angrily, he just nodded his head. Rejection is your natural right, you don't need to apologize for that. Oh my God, he's such a good person. Which made me feel even more guilty. I gratefully bowed again. James, I'll definitely work hard for the company and repay you. James smiled a little helplessly and didn't say anything. I thought that from here, our relationship would return to a normal boss-employee dynamic. But the next day, the company suddenly received a Big Mac meal delivery for everyone, and it was specifically mentioned that the boss had ordered it as a treat. My colleagues were all surprised. Whoa, what's up with the boss today? He's in such a good mood. Looking at the burger and chicken nuggets on my desk, I felt a bit uneasy. Could it be because I'd casually mentioned having a Big Mac for lunch earlier? The food smelled delicious, but I didn't dare eat it. So, I knocked on James's door. Boss? About the lunch. The world's best boss, what? Didn't you say you wanted this for lunch? Oh no! So it was because of me. No, boss, it's just, I feel like this is a bit awkward because I turned you down, didn't I? World's best boss, I know. But there's no rule that says being rejected means I can't keep pursuing, right? I was completely dumbfounded. James continued confidently, rejection is your right, but pursuing you is my right, don't you think? I won't let anyone in the company know, and I won't let you get caught up in any trouble. Could you please let me keep pursuing you? 20. With him putting it that way, I really couldn't say no. I used to think James was the type to give up after hitting a wall, but now I realize he'll keep going, no matter how many walls he hits. But why? Why me? I remembered that James once said he'd known me for more than 3 months, so I asked him directly. But James just smiled mysteriously. That's something only my girlfriend will know. Huh? He's getting good at playing hard to get. Oh well, maybe after hitting a few more walls, he'll eventually stop. From then on, everything at the company seemed normal between us, but out of guilt, I started working even harder. Every time I stayed late for overtime, there'd be little treats at the company, sometimes coffee, bubble tea, sometimes something else. And privately, I'd sometimes receive packages at home, usually toys for Big Beast and occasionally flowers for me. They weren't extravagant gifts, so they didn't put me in a tough spot. I'd send James money, saying, "Thanks for thinking of me." But James wouldn't accept it. Putting in effort for someone you like is how it should be. My face turned red. What's with this guy? Ever since my identity was revealed, it's like he's unleashed. He's relentlessly coming at me with direct moves. All the things he used to say through the consulting account, he's now saying directly to me. And besides, this little bit of money doesn't mean much to me. You don't need to feel pressured. Me, you trying to provoke the working class or something? James, maybe this evil capitalist needs a working class hero to bring him down. Wanna give it a try and be that hero for the people? I blushed and bolted out of there. James's sweet talk was getting smoother by the day, and I was starting to have a hard time keeping up. But his approach was still clumsy, without any real scheming. One afternoon, after another round of treats for the entire office, a colleague suddenly gossiped, "Do you think James is dating someone recently?" "I've noticed too. He's been smiling lately. Must be in love." Wow, so James isn't made of stone after all. It's making me want to try chasing him myself. Hearing that, I don't know why, but my chest felt a little tight. So, I got up to get some water, and I bumped into James's assistant Mike. "Oh, Summer, I was looking for you. After work today, can you take these documents to James's place and have him sign them? Then bring them back tomorrow." To James's place? I had just been thinking how clumsy James was, and now here's this move. 21. Mike smiled bitterly. "I don't want to bother you, but James has a high fever, and I've been handling so much work for him. I'm swamped." I froze. He's sick? But this morning, he was still messaging me. Why didn't he tell me? Doesn't this idiot know that being sick easily triggers a girl's nurturing side? He really has no idea how to play the game. Plus, you live in the same community as James, so it's on your way. But if you don't want to, feel free to find someone else to go. With that, he left in a hurry. We live in the same community? Looking at the address, I was quiet for a long time, but in the end, I didn't ask anyone else to go. Didn't want to bother anyone, right? Besides, James has taken such good care of me, I really should go see him. Yes, just repaying a favor, that's all. Definitely not because I want to see him myself. When I saw the pile of documents, I actually felt a bit bad for James. Geez, it's like a mountain. Being a boss isn't easy. James's place was indeed in the same community, just not in the same building. One street apart, and the housing price shot up several times over. What a world. I rang the doorbell, and James came to open the door. "Why did it take you so long?" "Those documents." When he saw me, he froze, his expression instantly turning blank. "Why you? Why are you here?" He was wearing loungewear, his face pale, hair unkempt, and looking utterly harmless. I cleared my throat. "Mike's a bit busy, so he asked me to bring them over." You should come in, wait a second." James coughed a few times, the corners of his eyes slightly red, then hurriedly took out a brand new pair of women's slippers from the shoe cabinet before rushing back inside. I looked at the pink bunny slippers and tried them on. The size was just right. How does he know my shoe size? Feeling warm inside, I slowly walked in, watching as James hurried back out of his room. He'd changed into regular clothes and was now wearing a mask. "I'm still not fully recovered, don't want to pass the flu to you." "Well, why didn't you wear one earlier? Does Mike not in risk of getting infected?" 22. I tried convincing him for a while, but James refused to take off the mask. In the end, I had to sit there watching him stubbornly sign that mountain of documents, all while strictly keeping his distance from me. His breathing grew heavier, and his movements slower as he flipped through the papers. Is he going to make it? He's not about to pass out, is he? "James, why don't you rest for a bit? You can finish signing the papers later." James looked up, his eyes hazy and bright, head tilting slightly. "Huh?" Sensing something was off, I quickly went over and touched his forehead. James didn't shy away. When he saw me coming closer, he even leaned his head forward a bit to make it easier for me. Ah, he's burning up. Why is he pushing himself like this? I picked him up and, with great effort, moved him to the bedroom, then hurriedly got a towel to help bring his fever down. Thankfully, his medication was nearby, so I didn't have to rummage around for it. James, wake up, take this medicine. James opened his dazed eyes, struggling to focus for a moment. Summer? Yeah, it's me. Good, you're finally lucid. Come on, take the medicine. James didn't move, his misty eyes fixed on me for a moment, before suddenly giving a dopey smile. You're so cute. My face flushed red. Dude, you're literally burning up. I propped him up and got him to take the medicine. He was completely cooperative, acting as obedient as could be. After he drank it, I patted his head. Good boy. James's smile grew wider, like a big kid who'd just gotten a new toy. Once he finished drinking, I went to get him more water. Just as I stood up, James suddenly grabbed my wrist, his dark eyes staring unblinkingly at me, his palm burning hot. Can't you stay a little longer? I couldn't move. In his current state, James had me completely in the palm of his hand. I couldn't refuse him. Seeing me nod, James smiled contentedly. Am I dreaming right now? This version of James was rare, so I teased him. Yeah, you are. Is that so? James gazed at me, a little melancholic, at least in the dream. Could you agree to be my girlfriend? 23. We stared at each other for a long time. Finally, I nodded and said, all right. James smiled again, thank you, and then he closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep. I finally said yes, and that's it? Isn't he supposed to do something after getting my answer? He really doesn't know how this works, does he? But I gave my answer sincerely. I can see James's genuine feelings, and today, I finally see my own heart clearly too. It would be such a shame to let previous mistakes stop me from getting close to something real. If it's James, I'm willing to muster up some courage and give this a try. With him holding my hand, I couldn't move. Left with nothing else to do, I decided to observe his bedroom. There was a photo on his desk, and when I looked closely, I saw a woman and a dog smiling happily in the grass. Both seemed familiar. It looked like me and Big Beast. Gently freeing my hand from James's grip, I walked over to get a better look. Yep, it was us. Judging by our clothes, this was taken last year. So he really had seen me before, huh? Once he's better, I'm definitely going to ask him about this. James didn't wake up until 3 hours later. You're awake, I said. He seemed a little flustered when he saw me. How long did I sleep? After checking the time, he sighed deeply. Sorry for the trouble. I smiled. No need to be so polite. If you really feel sorry, how about explaining this photo? I asked, holding up the frame. James's eyes widened when he saw it, and he glanced nervously at the desk. After a moment, he sighed. Big Beast used to be my dog. Big Beast originally wasn't called Big Beast. He had a fancier name, Robin. Hearing that, I couldn't help but smirk. No wonder he looked so unimpressed when I started calling him Big Beast. A few months ago, Big Beast got lost from James's house. He put up posters everywhere but couldn't find him. Eventually, a pet store told him the dog had been located, but by then, Big Beast was already with me. James came over to talk about the dog, but when he saw what a bad state I was in, he decided that taking the dog away might make things worse for me. So he left it alone and kept an eye on me from a distance. And over time, he started catching feelings. He didn't get his dog back, but he fell for me instead. You know the rest. You joined my company, James said. I paused for a moment. The time I found Big Beast was the worst part of my life after my reputation had been destroyed by false accusations. If James had really taken him away, I'm not sure I would have made it through. Why didn't you tell me any of this before? I asked. I should be thanking you. James was silent for a while before answering. I thought you probably wouldn't want to be reminded of bad memories. Plus, secretly watching over you like that felt creepy. I worried that if you found out, you'd be even more against being with me. I held up the photo and shrugged. Well, this kind of complicates things. I've already agreed to be with you, and backing out so soon seems a bit unethical, don't you think? James's eyes widened in shock. When? You agreed? A few hours ago. Really? You're not joking, right? Summer, say it again. In the photo, the woman's smiling face mirrored mine now. Maybe sometimes, fate works in mysterious ways, and long before we realize it, we're already connected to someone. Since I fell asleep during our last movie date, and James was too nervous to enjoy it, we decided to go see it again. This time, it would be our first official date as a couple. James was still a bit nervous. As we walked side by side, I could feel him trying several times to hold my hand but pulling away each time he got close. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed his hand myself. Seriously, dude, you really don't get it. In moments like this, you just have to take her hand. That's how you make a girl's heart race, you know? I looked up and saw his face turn slightly red. He nodded slowly. Got it, teach me more in the future. I'll learn. His shy response hit my sweet spot, and I suddenly felt a bit mischievous. Blushing just from holding hands? I teased, lowering my voice and leaning in close to his ear. What'll happen if we do more than that? In an instant, James froze up, and I couldn't stop laughing until the next moment, when something soft brushed against my cheek. His ears were practically on fire as he whispered, I can do more than that too. Suddenly, I felt my own face heat up. Thank goodness I didn't let my fears keep me from being with him, otherwise, I'd be missing out on this kind of happiness. But, as they say, you laugh too much, and you're bound to cry soon after. As we rounded a corner, we ran straight into a coworker. Hi, James? Summer? His eyes bulged when they looked down and saw us holding hands, gasping like he couldn't believe it. You too. My heart instantly went cold, but in the next moment, I felt James gently squeeze my hand and heard him say softly, yes, we're dating. I've worked really hard to win her over, but I'd appreciate it if you could help us keep it quiet for now, he added with a calm and steady smile. Our coworker's eyes widened in awe as they nodded vigorously. Yes, of course. Unlike when he was dealing with me, James had handled the situation effortlessly. He didn't even need me to say a word, and everything was already taken care of. History wouldn't repeat itself this time. Once the coworker left, I looked up at James. Big boss, isn't it tough being my secret lover? It's not tough, he replied, tightening his grip on my hand and smiling brighter than the sun. I can wait until the day we have marriage rings to make it official. James squeezed my hand a little tighter, his smile warm and easy, shining brighter than the midday sun. The end.